സവിശേഷ പ്രാധാന്യമുള്ള ഒരു വ്യക്തിയാണ് ഈ ആഴ്ച വ്യൂ പോയിന്റിൽ. 7 വർഷം മുമ്പ് മലയാളികൾ അത്രത്തോളം ശ്രദ്ധയോടെ കേൾക്കാതിരുന്ന ആ വാക്കുകൾ ഇപ്പോൾ സവിശേഷമായ ശ്രദ്ധയോടെ കേട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. പ്രൊഫസർ മാധവ് ഗാഡ്ഗിൽ, വെൽക്കം സർ.
Thank you.
Actually, we are honored to have you in our viewpoint.
I am very happy to be here.
First of all, I would like to start with you visited Puthumala yesterday in Mepadi in Wayanad.
Right.
Do you think the actual devastation that happened in Mepadi is a man-made devastation?
See, there must be complex causes. Certainly, intense rainfall events, which in a sense are man-made, because climate change is increasing the frequency of such intense rainfall. That is also now scientifically being accepted. But apart from that, because only local Kerala is not responsible for global warming, partly it is also responsible. But yes, there must be a series of complex events taking place. It is not necessary that at that particular point there should be some big land leveling or quarrying and so on. This whole ridge is there, as I saw. That ridge is very steep slopes. It is a high rainfall area, and again there was very intense rainfall. And certainly the natural vegetation has got quite a bit disturbed. It is largely degraded forest from where the landslide started. We know that the natural evergreen vegetation of this area, the trees have roots which very well bind the soil, and when that is disturbed and this degradation starts, the soil binding capacity of the roots of trees is considerably reduced. So this degradation is contributing, and then it is possible, I am not sure about this particular case, but quarrying will send vibrations and that would further loosen the soil, rock, etc. If there are not quarries necessarily where the landslide started, but in its vicinity, as I believe there are, but anyway that should be verified, then that would also be responsible by destabilizing slowly the area. And the kind of blasting that takes place in quarries certainly will slowly destabilize the soil and the rocks. So all this must have contributed.
I particularly ask this question because the Mepadi and the another area in Nilambur, this was particularly mentioned, the prominence of this area and the ecological fragile nature of this area has been pointed out in the report itself. And the calamity that happened is huge.
Yes.
The suggestions in the report has been totally ignored. That is the main reason, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, certainly there are these kinds of areas in Kerala, Western Ghat, elsewhere, where we must take we must tread further very carefully. And that was the mandate, in fact, of our panel, to point to such areas and suggest how the activity should be moderated, which we have done, and not paying attention to that is undoubtedly responsible in part for these kinds of disasters.
But would this report had been implemented to a certain level, this kind of devastation can be avoided, isn't it?
I believe so. I mean, yes, I think that if immediately, in honest, sincere fashion, the implementation had started, the chance that this would happen would certainly have been far less.
In Kerala, we are very much boasting of the decentralization process that has been started earlier with the implementation of Janakiya Asutranam, all those things. But we are little interested in giving powers to the local body regarding the environmental issues. You have in your report pointed out this very loudly. Even though after happening recurring natural calamities, we are not paying attention to this point. What is the relevance? What is the gravity of that point?
No. I mean, world over the experience is that it is local people who have led reform in environmental good protection, and never anywhere in the world, in fact, has the government or the powerful moneyed interests favored environmental protection. In the long run, the societies have benefited from environmental protection, but it could only start with people's pressure. Japan is famous example. There was this Minamata disaster, mercury poisoning by a chemical company affected very large number of people eating fish in that bay. The people agitated. You read the history, it's available. Both the government and company tried to suppress people's protests, but people prevailed. Good pollution control legislation eventually got established. One interesting fallout, an economist friend of mine from Japan, who is also interested in environmental issue, has written scientific papers illustrating what happened. Because the automobile industry also had to control pollution along with the chemical industry and all that. So the exhaust from the automobiles, it had to be brought to a proper level. And unlike in India, pollution control laws were being implemented. Here, unfortunately, they are not. So where were being implemented? So the Japanese companies had to obey that, so their cars became fuel efficient. And when in the 1970s oil prices increased, then there was a tremendous rise in global demand for fuel efficient cars. And it was Toyota and Japanese companies who were manufacturing them. So in the end, this economists point out that Japanese economy also greatly benefited. But the government and industry had initially resisted pollution control. So we must make sure this gets done, and then in the long run, society, economy, they will all be much better off than in this kind of situation where negligent, destructive use of natural resources to line the pockets of a few people is ruining the nature and the economy also in the long run.
Here in India, there is a Supreme Court order that the natural resources, the control of the natural resources rests in the government control. Yeah. And Supreme Court ordered that the power of control of natural resources rests in the government itself.
Which order? I am not familiar. I am not sure.
I think Chief Justice K.G. Balakrishnan, he was the Chief Justice then. He ordered in favor of Reliance in the natural gas verdict. Krishna Godavari basin.
That may be. And then I am very sorry to say I don't want to make any remarks about the Honorable Chief Justice of Supreme Court, but there are very grave doubts about the way his judgments were. I don't want to say anything more.
Okay, sir.
So it's a very bad judgment if it was given. I'm not a legal scholar, but I think if it were given in this fashion, it's a very bad judgment. You see the Kerala High Court judgment in Pachimada case, for example, it is diametrically opposite.
In 2018 there is floods and natural disaster. 2019 it is repeated in Kerala, and now the Kerala government is suggesting new ways to restrict the use of land, where to construct houses, where to cultivate, where to have industries. Some sort of restrictions should be there. These kind of suggestions are coming from government's part, and they are talking about legal reforms, such as for example, take the case of Wayanad. There should be specific laws regarding Wayanad, its land use, utilization, building construction, restricting all those things. Is this the way forward?
See, the way forward is, as I again stressed and our report says, not through more bureaucratic powers and regulations. Unfortunately, and in our report itself we have given examples, bureaucracy uses its powers to only extract bribes by harassing people. So you should not be doing that, going that route at all. The local bodies, and not just the local bodies, the elected members can be corrupted. It is the full Gram Sabhas, Ward Sabhas that must come to play more and more significant role in making these decisions. They are 100% bound to make better decisions because a healthy environment, they certainly don't want to invite landslides coming down on them. That would be the result. I am completely against simply bureaucracy acquiring more power or government acquiring more power while you are quoting judgments that Supreme Court has said all natural resources state must decide, which is a very bad judgment according to.
Recently, the Kerala government is proposing like that the land utilization should be regulated and such and such laws should be enacted. These kind of discussions are going on. That is why I asked this issue.
Fair enough. But as I am saying, if these are going to lead only to more power for bureaucracy, I think it is completely the wrong way.
Now, coming to the Madhav Gadgil committee report, which has been presented at that time, lot of criticism was coming from Kerala. Do you expect such a huge criticism from Kerala? Since I am asking this because Kerala has a tradition of Silent Valley agitation, environmental protection environmental issues, raising environmental issues. These are Kerala has some initiative in that field.
No, in Silent Valley I know because I was following many people involved, especially from Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, from before that agitation started, where my personal friends were working together. I am told at that time, you can verify, there were two pieces of legislation which Kerala legislature voted and passed unanimously. One was we must have the Silent Valley project. All legislators did that unanimously. Second was they must all get higher salaries. They also did that unanimously. Nothing else is ever unanimous. So these kind of vested interests, either of their own salaries or of certain contractors and so on, they protect. If anything happened, it was because KSSP brought together all the good evidence, prepared proper documentation, proper environment database for that project, and effectively argued. So this is what should happen. In fact, for a whole range of environmental issues, people must get involved in preparing proper documentation. Nowadays it is compared to the 1970s when this was done. It is very easy with modern technology to document. So this is the way we should go.
But I doubt in case of Madhav Gadgil committee report, this kind of awareness program is not happened. Is it the sole responsibility of the government or the society?
No. Governments, of course it is responsibility of the government. But world over, as I told with the Japan's mercury poisoning, you read the history of that time, the government was backing the company. And actually, maybe in Kerala also that might be happening, actually suppressing fishermen's demonstrations against mercury poisoning because fishermen were the worst affected. Other also consumers of fish were affected. They were backing the company, Japanese government, to suppress fishermen. But people prevailed. So here people have to prevail. If we cannot bring that about, then of course it is a hopeless situation. I don't depend only on government. Of course government must act properly.
Nowadays the political parties, mainstream political parties are speaking about Madhav Gadgil committee reports and its suggestions should be implemented. These kind of discussions are slowly growing in Kerala. Mainstream political party leaders are coming openly supporting the recommendations. Do you think these are sincere efforts, or this is only an attempt to dilute the gravity of issues that happened?
This, I am not personally involved in politics to make any comments. But people's pressure is acting on the politicians, they are responding, which is a very good thing. If there is consistence and more pressure, they will have to act.
But smaller groups are working on this. Smaller groups are demanding this kind of recommendations should be accepted and implemented. But that is not becoming a people's movement. that is lacking in Kerala. That kind of awareness is not in Malayalis' mind, I think. What is your opinion?
I hope it will become more and more widespread. That's all I can say.
I'm asking this because in Wayanad yesterday, in your program, the attendance of people, large community attended in your program. I don't think 5 years before this kind of attendance will be there. I don't think.
I have no idea, but what I'm saying is, obviously there is growing awareness, and especially with 2 successive years disasters, people are becoming more and more aware. It is regretful that disasters have to wake up people, but it is very good they have woken up.
The local level planning, the Gram Sabha planning, and the implementation of the planned projects, that will happen in a it's a long-term plan. We should have some short-term plans also to reduce.
What do you mean? No, this can happen very rapidly. Today with the modern tools, people can quickly organize proper planning at their own local level. They need to be given proper freedom and encouraged. Why should it take a long time? It will not take any long time.
I'm asking this because the quarrying process that is happening in Kerala, the illegal quarrying that is happening in Kerala is rampant, and also the license to quarries has been taken away. Licensing authority has been the state government now. Earlier it is the panchayat. That power has been taken away by the state government. These kind of activities are happening in Kerala. Such and such things should be stopped immediately.
That I have already been saying. See, taking away these powers from the panchayat is against our constitution. India, we are the sovereign rulers of this country. We have permitted the powers to be taken away from panchayats. That is our weakness. It is regretful, but we must get them back. That's all.
Without giving proper power to the panchayats or taking their powers away from them, and speaking about the environmental protection and environment friendly development, this is double talking, I think.
Well, certainly. I mean, there is plenty of hypocrisy in this world, and politicians are, of course, the most accomplished hypocrites. There is a very interesting historical book. The gentleman who also wrote Gulliver's Travels, I think it was. Anyway, he has written a book called Art of Political Lying in some 17th century Britain, and analyzed how much hypocrisy and lies politicians engage in. So it has a wonderful, long history, so of course they will be hypocritical.
After these kind of disasters, do you think these governments, both central and state, would seriously consider the Gadgil committee recommendations and implement it?
I mean, Gadgil committee recommendations, none of them are outside the, well, certainly all those are backed by very serious, good objective facts, and none of our recommendations fall outside the existing laws and constitutional rights. So, of course, they can be implemented, they should be implemented.
Because Kerala is not the only state that is facing these kind of natural disasters. Karnataka is facing, then Maharashtra is facing, Gujarat is also facing. All those western
Uttarakhand peoples of Himalayas are also facing. Yes.
I am specifically speaking about the Western Ghat region.
True, but especially the hill regions are facing all these, with these abuses, these disasters. Western Ghats is of course one of those hill regions, but Himalayas also in a way worse disasters, people of Uttarakhand, Himachal and all those areas are also facing.
So you are thinking positively, these kind of things will be taken into consideration, and some sort of suggestions will be implemented. That is what you are thinking.
Of course, I mean, in the long run, there is no need. There is a very interesting statement by Ram Manohar Lohia. You know, he was a great political leader.
And a socialist.
Ram Manohar Lohia says, निराशावाद का ये कर्तव्य है कि आशावाद का दामन मत छोड़िए. The pessimism must keep the first responsibility is not to give up hope. So if environmentalists feel depressed and pessimist, like my good friend Vijay does, it's unfortunate, it's okay, I mean there is some reason, but we should not give up hope, so we must keep up hope and keep working towards what is good and proper.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.